Welcome to the Love Dog Podcast. I'm your co-host, Raina Butcher, here with our host, Dr. Sarah Hensley, the founder, CEO, and just the main squeeze of the Love Doc relationship coaching services. And we are so excited today because we have another team member on.
We do.
And people have been so curious because I see messages and they're like, so tell me more about, Coach Elizabeth and, what's her coaching style and, what's she like? And does she have social media? And we're like, well, she's great. She's kind of this mystery, but this was the perfect answer to just bring you on and have our listeners meet you and, hear you talk about your coaching style, hear you talk about how you got to where you are. And so just tell us a little bit about yourself. First and foremost, your background, your education. Let's build your credibility because you're amazing and we love you so much.
We do love you.
So
tell us.
Well, first, I have to thank both of you because I'm so thrilled to be here. I absolutely love my career, and I feel like I have, first Dr. Sarah, of course, and then Raina coming in. It's just been such a blessing to be part of this practice. So I'm thrilled to introduce myself to your listeners, our clients. And, I'm Elizabeth Pomeroy. I have a background in education. I've taught everything from kindergarten to 12th grade in the public school system. But shortly into my teaching career, I realized maybe this wasn't for me. And so I went and got a master's degree in counseling. But as many teachers will tell you, the classroom inevitably calls you back in. So I ended up going back into teaching for a period of time. But in the process of getting my master's degree, I was able to do some counseling in more of a ministry-based setting and wasn't really able to return to it full time until I joined Sarah's practice a couple of years ago. And that was, life had changed very drastically. I had been teaching and this opportunity came along and here we are.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience.
Yeah. And what's so cool about coaching is that it really does sort of combine teaching and counseling together. And I think that is probably why we have both excelled at it, because we both have history of, being in education. I was in higher education before I was a coach for a number of years, and you were in the K through 12, but it doesn't matter. Teaching skills are teaching skills. You have to be able to break complex things down, or at least whatever's complex at that level, down for your students. And really our clientele, we do a lot of psychoeducation as well as actual coaching strategies for change. But I can say personally that you have been an amazing coach. I am just now adding another coach because I don't think my strategy is ever going to be, add a ton of coaches, because I am so protective of my coaching strategy and of my coaching model. And I only wanted to have coaches on that I deeply, deeply trust to mirror to my clients back what I would be teaching if I were in the seat. And you have been that person, and you have gotten all the great feedback. And that is why you are definitely still here and moving up to groups now. Coach Elizabeth has her own groups now, as well as taking individual clients. So I couldn't be more proud of where you are and how much of a wonderful addition you have been to this company.
I can second that. And obviously, it was really, you two were like the OGs, right? Y'all were like the two original. I came on later and, I say this to Sarah all the time, and I'll say it to you, Liz. Coaching is hard. And coaching takes a very special type of person, because I tried it, gang. I tried it for a minute, and I was like,
nope,
I can't do this. I'm out. It's very serendipitous, because I feel like, we're all really where we're supposed to be, which makes it, we're so in sync with each other. The relationship between all of us works really well. And I think that a lot of it has to do with we're all very dynamically different. And so, because of that, even though you were certified and trained under Sarah, just tell us a little bit about your coaching style.
Sure. Well, I would say it's really marked with deep compassion, grace, empathy, which I know like that's probably the goal for a lot of practitioners. And really non-judgmentalism. I mean, clients come to us with some really hard things. And that's some of the feedback I get is like, wow, thank you. Like this was so much easier to share my story with you. And so I really value being able to offer that to our clients. But I also come from a bit of a joy-based model of attachment from the work of Dr. Allan Schore. He's the guy who kind of first got me interested in attachment. And oh my goodness, pairing that with what Dr. Hensley teaches and the model, the strategies that we provide to our clients through her work has just been huge.
So can you go a little deeper there because I'm curious. I'm very curious what you mean because I'm not familiar with his work, what you mean from the joy aspect of it, which makes sense because that's all coming full circle in terms of what you name your practice. So tell me a little bit tell our listeners a little bit about what's behind that.
I would love to. So Dr. Shore's model of joy-based attachment really emphasizes that secure attachment isn't just about building safety. It's not just about the absence of threat. It's about mutual positive emotional experiences, really mutual joy. That is the marker. It's sort of the animating factor. Attachment can become secure and still be relatively emotionally flat, to some degree. And so, one of the phrases I got from reading some of his stuff is, joy is to a relationship what fuel is to a car. And all of my clients hear that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it really becomes part of the foundational aspects of everything else that they're learning and applying moving forward.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because I've said this in the past. I lost my mom suddenly 8 years ago, and we've talked about this too on other episodes. But she had this deep sense of like she just never really knew how to experience joy at her core. And I won't get into all the reasons why I think why, but so after she passed, I sort of had this epiphany and I was like, the secret to longevity is joy.
For sure.
It's the secret to living a long life because when you're sad or again, to relate it to what we talk about often, or just in constant emotional distress or living in victimhood, it really does something to the brain.
It robs your ability to access joy. So, as Elizabeth can tell you here, we can only experience joy when we feel safety in our own body. And so when we feel like we are under threat, and of course, how do we stay under threat? Well, our own thoughts can keep us under threat. Unprocessed emotions can keep us under threat, as can unsafe connections. We are unable to tap into joy. Joy is a present experience. It is an experience of being in the present moment. And Elizabeth makes a great point here because oftentimes, especially in the therapy world, I would say not as much in the coaching world, but in the therapy world, we have this idea that as long as we can bring people back up to like a baseline of functioning, they've done their job, right? The therapist has done the job. And it's like, okay, well, you're not depressed anymore. But are you really happy? Are you experiencing joy? Do you feel safe enough in your body to have joy? And so I think you make a great point, Elizabeth. Talk a little bit more about that and how you try to foster that with your clients.
And that's the catch-22. And I tell the clients that, like, hey, we can talk about joy all day long, but it's sort of a front brain thing.
It is. It is.
And your work, Sarah, around, cognitive reframing, taking authority over your thought world is really what helps us shift from that subconscious driving the bus to more of that front brain way of functioning. And so that's sort of the little carrot we kind of put out there is like, hey, not only, is this work going to help you change up patterns that are really difficult in your relationship and help you learn how to process emotions in a safe, healthy way, but you're going to access new levels of joy in your life that is going to just shoot you forward in this process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have so many, I know you can probably relate to this and the clients that you take on too, dismissive avoidance that live in such a frozen state. And if you really talk to them about their emotional experiences, they don't have a lot of low lows, but they're not having any joy either. They're not having any high highs either because they're stuck in that frozen state, which is that flat affect, that numbness of suppression. And a lot of times, one of the best pieces of feedback I can get from a DA who has gone through this work is like, wow, I'm experiencing joy. Like, I'm noticing when my kids do stuff that I like feel really happy, or like I just notice my partner in a new way and they make me feel really happy when before I just wouldn't even notice, what they were doing to provide something good to the relationship, or how great of a mom they were or dad they were or whatever. And so they're actually tapping into joy because they finally feel safe enough to do that. Their emotional, processing ability has strengthened to the point where their nervous system is finally feeling the effects, and it's joy.
I also think it's important to put, and it seems so elementary when you just think of the word joy, right? It's this 3-letter word. And
it's your middle name.
And it's my middle name.
Maybe I shouldn't have revealed that on the pod, but it is your middle name.
Yeah, that's totally okay. But it's like when you shift that perspective of aligning healing with joy, it really puts this idea on healing that it's happy, right? It's happy. It's lovely. It's beautiful. It doesn't have to be this really painful experience. It should actually be this really joyful, beautiful experience, and I think too many times we get stuck, especially recently, because I say a lot that, like, I think as a human race, like we're reaching these higher levels of consciousness, and some of that has to do with social media, but sometimes you can get information fatigue, and like we're infiltrated with so much information, and so when it comes to healing, I think we are reaching this higher level of consciousness around it as a whole, but sometimes there's this negative perspective or this negative connotation, like, you're broken, you have to heal, right? And that's not really the truth, right? The truth is that healing is available to you, and healing brings you really beautiful new sensations. And I think we're all 3 testaments of that.
For sure.
Amen. Yeah.
So I know you can't show favorites, obviously, but is there like a particular type of client or a particular type of attachment style that you like to coach versus another?
Oh, man. I have a heart for FAs.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
They just are so motivated. And, it's the pain, that inner chaos they're experiencing, but it also makes them amazing clients to work with because they are ready to hit the ground running. That being said, I have yet to come across a client that I've, seriously been like, no, this isn't going to work. I can't,
Right.
Because of their attachment style. Like,
Right.
But I will say I find the most joy myself in helping an FA move forward.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they have high levels of awareness usually.
Yeah.
If they are FA tipped more to the anxious side, they usually are pretty able to name their emotional experience, as people report in that category, that they are more aware of their patterns when they come. Yeah. I would say the AP and DAs are less aware of themselves in general. Now, that's just an in general statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, speaking on patterns, and I'm sure it's the same for you as it is for Doc, but what are the most, like, what's the primary pattern that you see come into your practice in terms of relationship dynamic? Because I'm curious if y'all are seeing different things.
I will say the most common pairing I get is the FA with the FA. Of course, one leaning anxious, one leaning avoidant, and that whole dynamic is just in full force.
I call it the best friends / mortal enemies dynamic.
Yeah. And I mean, I can say with certainty that was probably my ex and me, that we were both FAs, me leaning more anxious, of course, but it can get pretty nasty.
Yeah, it can. It can get very toxic, but they create such a deep friendship and like such a deep bond because they have that core inner need to be understood. And so I think they're really attentive to each other's needs, at least at first, until that anxious avoidant trap just gets into full force. And then the conflict cycles are,
You know this because you've talked about it before, but like when two FAs are healed, it's like beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, because that's you and Donald.
It is me and Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do have some degree of hypervigilance toward each other, but in a very good way, in a way that makes us attentive to each other's needs and able to sort of anticipate each other's needs, which is a very FA thing to want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we've been able to master our triggers for the most part. I mean, there's some catch and correct, but for the most part, we get it right. And we're able to handle conflict in a really respectful and efficient way. And that is the absolute key. But we had to be able to train our nervous systems around intimacy to do that, which is interesting. You say two FAs. I usually see the FA and the DA, but I make a lot of videos on that. So that might be why.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably my second most frequent. What may happen the most, though, is the person who believes they're DA, and then we do the assessment, and we discover they're actually an FA.
Yes, I have that a lot, too, because the FA DA and the true DA, I'd say there's like this, I don't know if you experience this, too, but there's like this small percentage of people that are FA DA, but they just don't have they're not really fully DA, but they're not really fully FA either. They're like almost in their own category. They lack the emotional intelligence of the FA, but they have the reactivity. There's a lot of evidence of the betrayal wounds there. But they may have like DA things, like they have the blinders on and they just have like really
low stream of consciousness.
Like they don't have as much of a stream of consciousness or awareness of their own stream of consciousness. So they're like this real blending between the FA and the DA, but they're not necessarily like your typical FA. So almost it's like this weird category. I always call them like the 10% that doesn't fit perfectly into one of the four boxes. It's usually in that category because they usually have like, they're usually like DA, but with like the anger problem of the FA.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, a reminder for everybody, and this is something that you guys know better than me, but attachment is on a spectrum.
It is on a spectrum.
So, like you always describe it, because most people are visual learners. Like if you think of a line, right, and secure attachment's in the middle, the DA is over here, the AP is over here, the anxious preoccupied. There's this line that people can kind of oscillate down the line, right?
Right.
And in terms of analogies, you probably could have said that way better than me. You're so good at analogies. Isn't she? Like she is on top. Like she can always like just pinpoint this analogy, and it makes like the light bulb go off even that much more. I mean, still with me, even knowing you as long as I've known you, like you'll say things and I'm like, yes, queen, yes.
And it's the teacher. It's the teacher in us.
It is. And that's what I've always said. Like when I'm talking to people on the phone about you all, that's one point that I always like to make. It's like, both Dr. Hensley and Coach Elizabeth have education backgrounds. And guys, teaching is a gift. It's a gift. I don't have it, right? And it's okay, but it's a gift. And so when you are able to combine your backgrounds in terms of attachment and counseling, and then you have that and real life experience, because we know you've had some real life experience as well, and then you add that teacher component on top of it, it just makes you this triple threat in terms of teaching our clients what they really need to know and really getting them to the next level in terms of their healing journey. So that was actually going to be my next question is, in your opinion, what's the most powerful shift that someone can make on their healing journey?
Let me think about that. That's a good question.
And that's a hard question.
It is a hard one.
That's a tough one because there's a plethora, right, of things that people can do. Yeah.
I would say that shift from self-protection to self-connection, right? Instead of
I love that.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's when you go from asking like, how do I stop feeling this? Or how do I get them to change to, what is this feeling trying to teach me about my wounds, my patterns, my feelings, or my needs rather. And when I see clients make that shift, when they realize they can deeply source that safety within themselves, it's just so powerful.
Everything changes. Everything changes.
It does. And I always say, if you are in a place where you are asking, how do I get my partner to blank? Exactly. That is a key sign that you're not in the secure place. It has to be, what is going on with me that I am tolerating this, or what is going on with me that I'm having this reaction to this in this way, right? We have to point the finger back at self, because that is the only element you can control in the situation.
That's right.
Right.
Yes. So, do you have a favorite success story? Like, obviously without mentioning names, right? Because you've been doing this. How long have you been on with Sarah now?
I mean, two solid years.
Yeah, it's going on 3.
Yeah, I thought it was going on 3. So I know you've, at this point coached, hundreds of clients, and I know that you've probably seen some people really grow. So tell us one of those stories.
Oh my goodness. I knew when you asked that, I had my person in my head immediately.
I love that.
So this client, the cool thing about this client is that he started with me literally my first day in this practice.
And that's amazing.
That's awesome.
It really is. And so most clients, and I'm first session, I tell them, hey, we are solution focused practice. My goal is to get you what you need in as few sessions as possible and send you on your way, right? This isn't therapy, it's coaching.
Right.
So it's not really designed to go on forever and ever. But this client, we're on session 40 or something.
Wow.
But when he came to us, he was in the throes of breakup with a DA, and he is anxious, preoccupied, textbook. And he was really engaging in some pretty destructive self-soothing behaviors, just really in the pit. And to see where he was to where he is now, where, he spent some time single, he spent some time healing, learning the tools and strategies, and applying those things. He now is on the verge of getting engaged. So now it's been over 2 years.
Right.
So he's on the verge of getting engaged to a wonderful woman who came into his life. And so just seeing that transformation and being directly a part of that has just, it's been huge for me to get to see that.
That's such a gift. Yeah. And I will say, that was one beautiful thing about coaching, is seeing the transformation, seeing the perspective shift, seeing the light bulbs go off, and seeing people really get it.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what it's all about, right? That's the premise of really changing people's life so that you change the world. And you ladies are world changers. I'm just going to say it. Y'all are out here changing the world, making people better. And just the fact that this guy's been with you that long, Liz, is a true testament of how great you are at your job. And I have heard tons of feedback, because again, it's a question I get constantly. What's the difference between Dr. Hensley and Coach Elizabeth? And I'm like, look, there's no wrong answer here. There's no wrong answer. And if anything, Liz has a good return rate.
Yeah.
People come back, right?
Absolutely. That's why you're still here.
That's right. You're highly trusted.
Highly trusted.
And honestly, you just have this beautiful presence about you in the few times that I've been around you. That you do exude joy, and you exude sort of this real calming effect.
A lot of warmth.
Yes, a lot of warmth. And I think that goes a long way when you're coaching.
It does. And I think that I consider myself a kind and warm person
too.
You
are, honey. You are.
But I can be
more direct.
I can be more direct.
Is how I would describe you, and how I typically do describe you.
Yeah, I prefer telling people the truth over preserving their long-term feelings. I try to do it as gently and respectfully as possible.
And
always.
You do. And the way that I would describe it is, it's sort of just it's the shift in, you have a doctor brain. So your brain is a little bit more logical and a little bit more prescriptive, which makes you appear a little bit more direct. I mean, think about just a regular physician, right? Most of the time they are very direct. Like if you just, if you were trying to differentiate between your physician and like a nurse practitioner, right? Like that's how I would kind of describe you two. Like Liz, you're a nurse practitioner, Doc, you're a doc, you know? And so, hopefully I just gave a good analogy. Look at you. I did it. But yeah, so again, for our listeners out there who are thinking about, which direction do I go? Listen, I know both of these women personally. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong, and you've been trained directly under Sarah. You follow her curriculum. And so in terms of the tools and strategies, like in the groups specifically, you're going to get it all.
You're going to get it all. And even the groups that you are leading, they're still taking my online course.
Right.
So they're getting a little dose of me too. But I think some people just want to see me because I'm the face.
Right.
Because they're they connect with me in this one-way connection on social media.
Right. Yes.
And they're not as connected to Liz.
Yep.
But
which is why we're having you on.
That's right. We want them to be connected to you because you have been such an asset. And even clients where, I've done 1 or 2 sessions and they're like, okay, I know now that I have a lot of work to do, but I can't really keep up with your price point. I feel perfectly fine sending them to you because I know that they're going to be in great hands.
Yep, that's right.
I think this would be a great time to thank our sponsor of this podcast, Cozy Earth. We love our Cozy Earth. Their sheets are so amazing. The best. Once you go Cozy Earth sheets, you just can't go back. And that's the honest truth. I slept in old camper sheets this weekend and I was like, this is sandpaper. This is not okay. So my next order is Cozy Earth sheets for the camper because their sheets are made from the viscose of bamboo. So luxurious, so soft. They are temperature regulating and they have just an awesome sleep guarantee.
Yes. And I just actually purchased for my son, who's going off to college in the fall, all Cozy Earth bedding.
Yes. He's going to be so spoiled.
And if only he appreciated it.
Well, we appreciate it because we know the difference between luxury and just about everything else. And once you step up to the Cozy Earth luxury, you just won't go back. So you can go to their website, cozyearth.com, and enter code LOVEDOC, and you will receive 40% off of your purchase. And that is such a generous discount. Thank you, Cozy Earth.
Yeah, and it's a discount that you can use over and over again. So when you go back to purchase their PJs after you purchase their sheets, you can use that code again.
Yes.
So thank you, Cozy Earth. So on a personal level, like how do you, like what's your work-life balance? Because I know one thing I struggled with when I was coaching was like I would be exhausted right after I would coach. And that's why I say like coaching is really hard and you have to find this level of compartmentalization, because you are dealing with people who are in high emotional distress and it takes a toll. And so how do you balance that and how do you not get things like empathy or expectation fatigue?
Ooh, great question. Well, I'm a mom. So yes, that balance is really important because when I'm not here on screen with clients, I'm with my daughter. Right. And so, even if I'm feeling that, it's like I do have to do a bit of that compartmentalizing. But I tell my clients all the time, I practice what I preach.
Yeah.
And so if I'm feeling that at the end of a session, I'll take a few minutes and do some regulating work. I'll do some neurofeedback. I'll do some breathing. And that makes all the difference. And, we happen to live close to the water. I'll go dip my toes in the sand, ground myself being outside. But to be honest with you, one of my favorite strategies for achieving balance is taking a nap now and then. Not gonna lie.
Heck yeah.
Nice. And that's a sign that you have a good nervous system. Yeah. Like if you can take a nap and it's like a productive nap, not like an all day nap or
right, just like a little cat nap.
I've mastered those.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm jealous
too.
I'm jealous because I have yet to master that. And I would really, really love to. But I think you're right.
If I try, it'll be bang, crash, boom. Mom.
If I tried, I'd just be like, what can I scroll on social media? But sometimes I will, like if I'm really, tired, I will make a point to take the load off and at least take a little nap. But I think you're right. And I've never really thought of it that way. That is a sign of a healthy nervous system, which we're told our whole lives after like preschool that naps sort of aren't allowed, right? Like societal norms have put on us, no, you have to come to work from 8 to 5 every single day. And if you fall asleep at your desk, you're fired. But it's like, wait, in Europe, they take siestas all the time.
Yeah, no, we don't operate that way in the U.S.
Right?
And you and I keep odd hours because we do evening groups. We have clients maybe in the evening. We try to accommodate people, try to have times open outside of a normal work schedule because, you know, I don't want to shut out people that really need help, but they have to be glued to a desk and being productive from 8 to 5. You know, I want to have a 6 p.m. available or something available to them. So we can work odd hours, which is also tough sometimes.
Yeah, and I think one of the most beautiful things about adding you into the group segment of our services is that you've been able to really open up some more unique times that Doc doesn't necessarily have in terms of her schedule.
I just don't have it because of my kids.
Yeah.
So
and you're making content. I mean, you're
trying to.
There's a lot of other aspects that go into what you're doing, Sarah, that's kind of behind the behind the scenes stuff is also huge. Like answering emails is a huge feat for her. And because I have access to her email, like the infiltration of emails that come through on the hour is pure insanity.
Don't even go to the social media messages.
I mean, we know, listen, I know because we help facilitate that. And we have to, right? We have to because you're one person and you have a very busy life. And again, talking about just serendipity and feeling like how in sync this is or godly it all is that we all came together is that thankfully we know enough about the foundation of attachment and all of our backgrounds come from, psychology or counseling or ministry work for you, Liz, and teaching. It's made this perfect sort of marriage between us that it works really well. It works so well. And we're excited because we're about to bring on another coach. And, I think one thing that Sarah and I both said when we interviewed our new coach is that, wow, she reminds us a lot. Of Liz.
Yeah, that's what we said. We were like, she's so positive and thoughtful and warm and kind in her disposition and but also truthful.
Yes.
And we need that, going back to just my directness. Yeah. I mean, you're also not going to deprive clients of the truth. And sometimes it is a hard truth that they have to face. And so tell us a little bit about that. How do you handle that when you have a client that's maybe making really poor decisions or is continuing, some self-destructive behavior? How are you able to connect with that client and get them to attempt to see that these patterns are not fruitful for them?
I think something I learned in counseling 101 in grad school was unconditional positive regard, assuming the best about your client, kind of setting that expectation that you will just assume will become a self-fulfilling prophecy for that client. And so, while we're talking about the hard things, I'm also speaking about where we're going and the way forward. And growing. Usually, if they come to us, there's some level of self-awareness that has developed. Not always. We
Not always.
Clients who
have been dragged there.
Partner, exactly. Right. But the ones that are sort of starting that self-awareness and realizing the pain of these patterns is just becoming intolerable and starting to recognize the ways that they're hurting themselves in that. Really, it's just continually putting truth in front of them.
Right.
And also speaking life into their story.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's reminding them that although the change is painful, you can choose the indefinite pain of the current patterns, or you can choose the temporary pain that the change or moving through the pain of detachment or whatever the temporary pain is. It's worth it to get to the other side, right? Exactly. So I can understand that.
I would say too, that approach really gives them this idea that, hey, someone sees the good in me and I don't want to let them down, right? Like
Right.
I don't want to let Liz down, or I don't want to let Dr. Hensley down. Like I want to show up in a different way. And that's a big motivator. I mean, that's a huge motivator. I know it would, for me and my people pleasing skills, I would be on that all day.
Yeah, and I think the interventions that we give, we try to be prescriptive. Go home, do this for this many minutes, right? Do this thing and keep practicing it instead of just leaving session where people have just vented and they don't have any real tools. I mean, of course, we can't always give prescriptive tools after just one session. Sometimes all we can do is get through the attachment interview because somebody has so much to say about their past, or, and so we try to give maybe even just one initial strategy, and that could be, okay, we need more coaching here, right? Because we filled up the session. But I think we try to give people really clear tools to use so they don't just feel like they're just talking and venting and that's all they're getting out of it, which a lot of people come from a therapeutic setting and say, I had a great therapist and she was really kind and she made me aware of some things and I got to vent a lot, but I don't actually know what to do to get better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not
So, yeah,
knocking
that's part of
therapists.
it.
There's some good ones out there, but there's some also not good ones out there.
Yeah. And I think that is one thing that probably sets the practice as a whole apart from a therapy setting, is that it really is the next level of healing past processing, which you've said multiple times, and you say in a lot of your content that, I mean, like, I feel like if you had like one saying that I mention over and over and over again, there's a few of them, like, because we've been told our whole life, like, knowledge is power, well, not if you don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, the one thing that you say a lot is, knowledge is not enough, knowledge does not equal healing, right? Like, it's the integration of the tools, it's the capacity building around the tools, it's the daily practice of the tools. And I don't, again, not like you said, not knocking therapy at all. I think therapy serves its purpose, but coaching is different in the sense of, like you just said, Liz, this isn't necessarily like, hey, it's not a long game where you have to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. We want you to walk away from this. And this is why the group is so beneficial. It's literally the fast track to healing. It's because in 4 weeks, you can have these tools and strategies if you continue to practice them.
Right. It's all about continuing to practice them.
Yeah. If you continue to practice them, where you can really cultivate real change in your life. And I think that, listen, that's what people are searching for. That's what people are wanting. That's especially within their romantic relationships. I mean, we all know the divorce rate. We all know that it's high, and what it's doing to, the next generation.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I mean, that's why I say y'all are world changers, because you're changing people's relationships, you're saving marriages, and when you can save the marriage and the family unit, you save the world.
Yeah.
You save the world.
We have to be able to try to protect the family if we can, but sometimes there are marriages that should end.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, Liz. Like, how do you approach clients when and I know you see it because I see it, there's one partner that is not interested in doing this work. They have too much resentment, they have too much pain, or maybe they're just too avoidant and it's too uncomfortable for them, and they've been dragged there and they're there and they're not participating. Like, they're not using the tools. Like, when do you call it, and how do you approach that conversation of like, and it's time to call this?
That's a painful conversation to have.
It
And
is.
that's, when talk about work-life balance, that's probably when I need the most recovery, is after I've had that conversation with the client.
Me too.
Especially when you have that client who has done all the things for so long.
Everything.
And they're just having to accept. So it looks a little bit like, first we really examine, like, okay, have you been able to apply these tools and strategies to yourself and set some real boundaries in this relationship to try to change some of those dynamics? Because we know that's key to sort of initiating change. Sometimes that's most of the time I would say that's extremely effective. And if it's still just something that's really toxic, or especially if it crosses the line into abuse, Which is one
Absolutely.
of my little pet peeves, is when people kind of attribute abusive behaviors to attachment. I'm like, no, that is beyond.
Yep.
It does not explain or excuse any kind of abuse. But
Absolutely.
It's the conversation around encouraging them. You know, here's what you've done. Here's what you've tried. Here's how far you've come.
Mm-hmm.
Now we may need to have the hard conversation around letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put it like that, letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And walk them through what that looks like. And very painful, but absolutely sometimes very necessary. And but I usually will honestly do all that I can to honor the client's wishes if they're wanting to stay in a relationship. And then, but if it becomes inevitable, sometimes I have to one to kind of break the news.
Yeah, I hate that conversation as well. And it's usually almost always the same situation of just one partner that a lot of times it's either a very severe DA who just can't scratch the surface with even self-reflection because there's too much internalized shame and they're too suppressed. Or sometimes it's somebody who is, even though we can't give these diagnoses, we know there's narcissism there, right? We know there's this person has high narcissistic traits, if not NPD. And we're just they're not getting it. I'll never forget having one client where this was the case. And we talked about, we take them through the conflict resolution plan. And instead of saying I feel this was my experience and I feel unheard, they would make an accusation. They couldn't understand the difference between saying, in my experience, this is how it felt, versus I feel like you're a terrible partner, right? Or I feel like you don't listen. That's different than saying, I feel a little bit unheard here, right? It's you're making an accusation. And then you can see the narc spiral, right? When they lose control of the conversation, or when it's pointed out to them that they're the ones that are not following the rules. You can see it in their eyes. You can see the
defensiveness,
the narcissistic defensiveness come out, and you're just oh man, I was really hoping this wasn't what that is, but it's what that is. Yeah. And we can't give those diagnoses. We don't. We're not operating as clinical psychologists. We're not operating from a clinical therapeutic setting or a diagnostic setting. We're operating from a coaching perspective, and attachment is not a psychological disorder. It is simply a pattern of behavior that comes from subconscious beliefs. So we have a lot more wiggle room, but I don't know. For me, it's usually one of those two situations. I don't know. What about you? Do you encounter those two situations?
I absolutely relate. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And the tricky thing, like you said, we can't diagnose these things. But how I'll word that is, I'm picking up on some factors that might be beyond or outside of attachment here.
Yes.
That are a lot more static, a lot more difficult to change. And this is not going to be the setting where that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always refer them to a clinical psychologist for an evaluation, and most of the time their partner's I don't need that. And it's oh, okay.
Oh, yes, you do. And again, I just want, to point out how beautiful that is about this practice, is that we're not here to keep you around to just take your money, right? Y'all are here. I say we, I'm more of a back person, operations, marketing, but I mean, y'all are here to take these people on a journey to kind of parenting, of letting them go, letting them go into the world to apply what you've taught them, to apply what they've learned, and in hopes that they'll, it's a lifelong thing that they practice. And so I wanted to ask you one more question, because I think it's important. So we know that you're a strong Christian woman. And of course, Dr. Hensley is too, as am I, and we talk openly about our Christianity on the pod. But we also, we respect and honor those people who, maybe those aren't their belief systems. So the way that you practice in terms of, the Christian aspect of what the Love Doc offers, and then the secular aspect, can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Right. I am definitely a Christian. And in fact, my graduate work was from a seminary. So definitely have that background.
which is, I think, something that makes you unique.
It makes you very unique.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a lot of where I think your compassion comes from, for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. And most of my clients are not believers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really one of these things where I don't put it out there. I don't necessarily go there unless the client mentions that for themselves or, expresses that they're Christians. And then I'm more than happy to offer some of our faith-based tools and strategies and, share a little bit about, especially when it comes to managing our thought world, when it comes, even that joy-based model of attachment, I'm like, isn't this exciting that science is telling us something we already knew?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And gratitude and how all of that plays into it. These things that kind of, sound a little fluffy and cheesy have some hard science behind them and are also affirmed in what we know in the Bible. And so, I have that kind of always running in the background. And also just my view of humanity and just the inherent worth of every single person who's made in the image of God. And that absolutely informs my practice. But of course, I work with clients from absolutely every imaginable background and lifestyle. So, that comes up when appropriate. And if not, I leave it in the background.
Right. You meet people where they are, which again is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So do you have any more questions, Doc?
I mean, I feel like I know Liz really well
you do.
by now. But Liz, just tell the world why you do this work and, what keeps you motivated doing this work and why people should book with you. Tell the world.
I love my clients, and I am a sojourner on this path with them. Yes, I'm the expert in the room, and I try to approach it with that bearing, but also with the empathy and the compassion to walk alongside and be able to get them where they are, from where they are to where they want to go. And those light bulb moments and those moments where there's evidence of healing and evidence of progress make it absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
And I would say more times than not, the vast majority of the time, we're able to really be witness to those changes in our clients. And it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, it truly is. And, for people that don't believe us, like, we don't want you as a perpetual customer because then we feel like we failed.
Right.
We feel like we failed at our jobs. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to say, yes, they went through this program and look at how well they're doing. Look at how happy they are. Look at how much their relationship has improved. Look, they're with a new secure partner now and it's going so much better. And wow, they've made these changes and these shifts. And, I love hearing a client come back and check in with me and tell me how great they're doing. Like, that is what keeps us going. I don't want to have to listen to someone's trauma over and over and over again and see them stay stuck. That's exhausting for me too, right? It's the growth and the outcome that keeps us going. And so, no, we don't want you as a perpetual client. We will take you as long as you want to check in and need support or want support. And I have some long-term clients that have been with me for a really long time, and they just check in every now and then, and they just want, for their own well-being to be like,
refresh.
Here's my accountability, here's what I'm doing, or how do I tweak this, or I'm in a new relationship, or whatever it is. But when we can send somebody off and we're like, wow, they're going to make it.
Yeah.
Like they've just changed their lives. There's no greater feeling than that, than knowing that you've been a positive force for good in the world. And so we are not here to take your money, right? If we wanted to take your money, we could, and we're not going to do that over and over again. You're going to hopefully, if you do individual work, maybe 5-6 sessions. If you're doing the group, you've got 4 sessions. And then we want you to be that little birdie that takes off with your own wings.
Right. And we're about, I don't ever like to give a timeline because timelines never work out the way that I plan them in terms of operations. But we are going to launch some bundle packages for both of your one-on-ones very soon. It'll be a 3 or 5 package deal, which I felt like made the most sense, right? Because a lot of times I know in terms of relationships, like one partner may want to come in, like each one may want to do one individually, and then they come in together, or they may want to do the 2 individually and then come in together, or vice versa. So just be on the lookout for the bundle one-on-ones. Those are coming down the pipeline. And of course, Liz's group dates are posted on the website, as are Dr. Hensley's. And of course, for all of our listeners, included with Liz's groups as well, you can put in LoveDoc27 at checkout and receive 27% off any of the courses or any of the hybrid groups, including Liz's. And Liz has a ton of dates coming up.
I'm so excited about that. And the
Yes.
feedback we have gotten from your groups has been fantastic. You're an excellent
Absolutely
facilitator. Excellent on your feet at answering questions and being able to help clients in real time. And that's where that teacher training meets counseling training. And, where teacher and psychology just meet up, then we have a real powerhouse duo. And you definitely have that powerhouse. So we are so happy that you're still here and that you
So grateful
love
for
what
you.
you do just as much as we love having you. So thank
I'm
you
not
so
going
much.
anywhere. You've stuck with me.
Yay! We love you, Liz.
And that makes me really happy.
We love you so much.
I love you too.
Yes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for
Yes,
giving
thank
an
you.
hour of your time. We know you're a busy mom, and we just love you dearly.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I love you both so much. I'm just
Yeah.
so grateful.
Yes.
And thank you for letting me join you today.
And we
Yes.
may do this, just periodically,
Yeah.
just bring you on, and just because I just love how this conversation went. It was
Yeah.
really beautiful. And just, because we're always gaining new listeners, and it's always nice for people to really get to hear you and meet you on a deeper level. Because I think that matters, right? That matters when you think of like, who am I going to choose to, take my healing journey with,
Yeah.
in terms of facilitation.
Handle some of the hardest things that people deal with.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
You want those things to be placed in good hands.
Yes. And both of you, I know that y'all are going to think I'm biased, but I'm really not. Like, I can be objective here, but I can say with 110% certainty that if you're on a healing journey, either of these ladies would be a wonderful choice to help you facilitate or start, or, if you're in and you and your partner are both needing it, they are both a wonderful option for that.
And we like to get to the root cause, and we like to fix it for good, and we want to see you on your way. We want to see you thriving. So
Absolutely.
we hope you will entrust us with your healing journey. It's a big deal.
Yep, that's right. So you can go to thelovedoc.com, check out all of the services there. And just a reminder for all of our listeners, we now have a Patreons account, patreons.com/thelovedoc podcast. If you are one of our super fans, you can go there and sign up for a subscription. There's different tiers. You can check them out. I won't explain them all here, but there are perks to each tier. So we would love to have you as a super fan. But to all of our fans, we love you guys. We love
Thank
you
you
all.
so
We are
much for listening.
grateful. Yes, we're so grateful for all of you. And of course, until next time, peace, love, and perspective.